Good morning and welcome to Morning Scoop for Wednesday, August 18th. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Minnesota game is in 15 days. The game against Michigan in 101 days. With fall camp in full swing, we have not talked nearly as much recruiting on the show recently as we did most of the summer. We are going to rectify that today, at least for the first half of the show. If you want updates on the interviews we did with Larry Johnson, the defensive line, including Zach Harrison and Haskell Garrett and all those guys, you can check out the episode of Buckeye Weekly that Tony Gerderman and I released last night. A lot of good information there on the defensive line. And then we are planning to be out at practice this morning. So we'll have plenty of talk about the 2021 Buckeyes, last night, later today. But first, wanted to talk a little recruiting. My guest is Buckeye Scoop recruiting analyst Bill Greene. He has had some really intriguing updates and a couple of potential five-star players from Ohio. Bill, thank you for joining me.
Hey, glad to be here, Tom.
So let's start with Sonny Styles. I don't think he needs much of an introduction on a podcast like this, but he's a top 10 overall player in the class of 2023, son of former OSU linebacker Lorenzo Styles, younger brother of current Notre Dame wide receiver Lorenzo Styles Jr. And there was this idea for a while that he might be trending away from the Buckeyes and towards the Fighting Irish. But recently, it seems like you don't think that's necessarily the case at all. So can you explain where things stand right now with Sonny Styles and the Buckeyes?
Yeah, it's a two-team battle, Tom. It's definitely going to be Notre Dame or Ohio State. I mean, and you can list a lot of compelling reasons for each school. He will be at each school a lot this year. He's going to go see Lorenzo play, and he's planning to come by Ohio State as well this season. So I had kind of felt that maybe Notre Dame had a slight edge through the summer. And last week, I was told some things by somebody I really trust that now makes me think that Ohio State is the clear leader. I don't think it's done. I think there's work still to be done. And Al Washington, Kerry Combs, Ryan Day are, still going to recruit that kid, hard as they can. But I really feel Ohio State's in a great position to land Sonny Styles right now, going off the new information I got last week for someone who, should know what they're talking about. And I feel pretty good calling Ohio State the leader right now.
He's a 2023 kid, local kid. I mean, Jack Sawyer was a Pickerington kid, five-star kid who they kind of built the class around. He was kind of one of the architects of that 2021 class. I assume they would love to have Sonny Styles be that guy for 2023, but he would have to commit first. So, is there any indication if a decision is even like remotely close to happening, or is this like, don't hold your breath, even if you're feeling kind of optimistic?
Yeah, I'm never usually the guy that knows when these kids are going to do what they're going to do. I don't think anything is imminent. I really don't. I think he's got some trips planned to Notre Dame this year already. So we'll see. I would not expect a decision during his season. I think, the earliest would be probably next winter, and then that would be at the earliest. So I don't think anything is soon. And again, I think Ohio State's going to have to continue to recruit this kid hard, and I'm sure they will. They want him badly. He's one of the crown jewels of, what they're hoping for the 2023 class. And, after we saw him last summer at camp, I can see why. For me, I love seeing kids play football in their games, but I think those camp performances are so huge when you can put a clock on someone and you can see the actual size, you can see the change of direction, and you can see Al Washington and Kerry Combs put him through every drill that they need to see. And then again, watching him play real football is great too. And I will see Sonny this Friday. He plays over at Massillon. I'll be there too, so I'll see him again. And he's one of those guys that you almost can't watch him enough, because he's so much fun to watch, let alone doing your job the way you're supposed to do it. He's just a great football player to watch.
Next guy I wanted to ask you about, another guy who was pretty impressive at OSU's camp this summer, Luke Montgomery. He's a top 100 player in 2023 from Findlay. That is another one that's sort of shaping up as another possible Ohio State-Notre Dame battle. You got a chance to see him and interview him last week. It sounds like he's not only deciding which school he wants to play for in college, but also which position he wants to play as well.
Yeah, he played both ways, the scrimmage I saw. And he's primarily been a tight end and a defensive end his freshman and sophomore years of high school. He's now making that transition to offensive tackle, and he's learning. He's learning a new position. It's not something he's done prior, and Kirk Barton and I saw him in camp and stood side by side, and I kind of leaned on Kirk for his evaluation, and we were both pretty much in agreement with Luke. We just love the raw physical skills. You can't teach that footwork. He is an elite basketball player, plays with the LeBron teams in the summer. And so he's not a big guy that you have there to get his 5 fouls and beat someone up. He's a player. So the quick feet and the athleticism is just amazing for an offensive tackle. Right now he's 6'5", about 265, and he'll play college football 295. He's pretty special, and I think his future is an offensive tackle. But I put clips up of him playing both positions. They're on our insiders board. They're on our YouTube channel. You can see Luke, pretty impressive as a defensive end. But I think as he continues to play offensive line, I think he's a future NFL offensive tackle. And I think he's coming to that realization too. And I think that kind of puts Ohio State in a really good spot to land him. Notre Dame is recruiting him as a DN. Their hope is to pair Luke Montgomery up with Brennan Vernon. And I'd like to pair those kids up too on my team. So I get that. So we'll see what happens with Luke. I mean, he's definitely good enough to play either side of the ball, at the Power 5 level.
As we do say in the business, timing these things is always dicey. So I'm not going to ask you when he's going to commit, but I think just kind of let people know that's another one that's probably not like, don't expect something in a week or two. That's probably a little longer term, right?
No, I don't think so at all. And Clemson is in this one. It's Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan's kind of lurking there. Clemson's in this one. And the Montgomerys have plans this year. They're going to be at Notre Dame, up at Michigan, down at Clemson. They'll be at Ohio State for the Oregon game. They've got a heck of a schedule laid out. So I wouldn't expect a decision by Luke. I think same as Sonny. I don't think these kids want to mess with a commitment during the season. I would think no earlier than, probably sometime in 2022.
All right. And there's one more major recruit I wanted to ask you about, and it is someone who is going to be committing this fall during the season. It's Carnell Tate. He's a wide receiver out of Illinois. He was another guy who was just dominant when we saw him at OSU's camp back in June. Yeah. He just announced that he'll be making his commitment on October 8th. And that sounds like that could be shaping up as yet another Ohio State versus Notre Dame battle. If you're sensing a theme here, congratulations, you've picked it up. Do you have any idea where that one stands? I mean, as you like to say, if they announce they're making a decision, they've made the decision. Do you have any idea where that stands right now?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's Ohio State and Notre Dame. I mean, and he'd been to both places in the summer, seemed to really enjoy both places. He does play for IMG out of Bradenton, and I will see them coming up here in the next couple of weeks too. They come to Ohio 2 straight weeks. They'll be in Ohio. They're playing in Canton against Bishop Sycamore, and then in Cincinnati to play LaSalle. So we'll see them. And Carnell, I mean, the thing to understand about him is he does play for Bradenton IMG. He is not a Florida kid. So no worries there. If he makes a commitment, this probably will be the commitment. This will be the final, maybe the one and only. If Jaheim Singletary, we'd wait for the next commitment and possibly the third or fourth. But Carnell's from Chicago, so you can see the Notre Dame ties there. Family loves Ohio State. We were able to talk to the dad this summer at camp, and they were really enamored with Brian Hartline, as most wide receiver recruits are. So I don't know. I think this one's close, but he puts that date out there. It's not close anymore. He knows where he's going. I would favor Ohio State here, but it won't shock me if he commits to Notre Dame. I mean, this is one to watch here. Like I said, coming up in 6 weeks or so. All
right, now switching gears to this year's team, you had a huge update on our Ask the Insiders board this weekend with seven just monster nuggets. We'll touch on 3 of them here, and then Buckeye Scoop members can get the rest on the Ask the Insiders board. So let's start with a name in the linebacker race that has not come up all that often, but which it sounds like someone you are very high on, and that's Tommy Eichelberger. Yeah,
I just loved the guy when he played in high school. I mean, everything about him was so AJ Hawkish, as a high school player. I mean, he controlled the running game from his middle linebacker spot. I mean, he made every tackle, sideline to sideline. He does not miss tackles. The size is ideal. 230, whatever, 6'1". He could drop back in coverage. He was amazing in coverage. So agile, so quick. He had a heck of a knack for blitzing the quarterback, too, from the linebacker spot and finding seams and finding gaps. And I don't think it's something you can coach. I think that's a blitzer has a knack for getting through the wash and getting to the quarterback. And Tommy had that. So I always saw him as a 3-down backer, a guy that you just never take off the field. Where I think a lot of people had the misconception that he was a first down run stopper only. And that's not the case. I did see a lot of A.J. Hawk in this kid. I saw a lot of Eichelberger in this kid, another St. Ignatius linebacker who had injuries and, couldn't play for Ohio State. But, the reports I'm getting out of Tommy now are really good. And, I think they want to move more to having 2 linebackers on the field. And I think Terada Mitchell and Cody Simon are right there right now as maybe ahead of Tommy. But, Tommy Eichelberger could be a guy like Chris Spielman or Archie Griffin, someone like that when you put him on the field, you don't ever get him off the field again. And that's how I see this kid. So I kind of put my reputation behind him, when he was a high school kid, before Ohio State ever offered him, as someone who could be a star. And the reports I'm getting now, last year he was hurt a ton and really couldn't do anything. Now what I'm hearing is healthy and, the guy is just playing lights out. So I expect a lot from Tom. He's still a young kid, too. Still got a lot of time left to play it up for Ohio State. So I'm really hoping to see him get some extended minutes. And my feeling is once you put him out there, you might not ever take him out.
He's someone who definitely was a very under the radar recruit. If you don't remember, he was committed to Boston College.
Right.
This is a Northeast Ohio Ignatius kid. It's like, it must have been a Notre Dame Ohio State battle again. It's like, no, that was his brother. His brother was a Notre Dame Ohio State battle. Notre Dame won that one. Tommy is just, was kind of like off at Boston College, and Ohio State kind of came calling late. And sounds like they may have found themselves a good one there.
Yeah, one of the interesting points there is his recruiter at Boston College was Ricky Brown, who's now on the Ohio State staff as a defensive analyst. Ricky was, high on Tommy from when he was a sophomore in high school, and Ricky thought he had him. He did have him, until Ohio State offered, and that was just too good for Tommy to turn down. But he loved Ricky Brown, loved, the thought of playing for BC. And now he gets to play for Ricky Brown. So worked out for Ricky and Tommy.
All right. Next up, a guy whose recruitment was not necessarily quite an under the radar, 3-star, steal him away from a Boston College guy, Zach Harrison. He was about the highest profile recruit Ohio State has seen this decade, outside of a few notable exceptions. But we just got a chance to talk to him yesterday. And every time there's something different we do this year with him. It's like every time we talk to him, it's just like there's something he knows that we don't know and nobody else knows, but we're about to find out in 2 weeks. That's the vibe I get every time we talk to Zach Harris at this point. It's just like he's just different this year. I don't know quite how to explain it, but he's someone who I think I'm expecting to have a big season this year. It sounds like you are expecting big things out of Zach Harrison this year as well.
I thought he had a big season last year. I just, and far be it for me to question Larry Johnson. I know he knows more than I know, but I thought Zach should have played more last year. I thought he was really good. I thought he was a heck of a pass rusher. And he held up against the run far better than I ever thought he would. He was a really good run stopper in addition to getting to the quarterback. And if you look at snap counts from last year, you'll see Pete Warner, Sevin Banks, Sean Wade are in that 500 snap range. And then there's Zach Harrison around 200 to 220, I believe, in snaps. So I don't get it. Larry Johnson has forgotten more football than I ever know, but I thought Zach should have played more. Now, whether that was a stamina issue or the rotating they like to do on the D-line, I'm hoping this year, put him out there and turn him loose, let him go. I mean, I really liked Zach last year. And I think he's a guy that we all knew was going to need time. He was not going to be a superstar his first day in the program. He had to turn all that potential into production. I thought he did that last year, and I think he will really do it this year. So I'm very high on Zach, and everything I've heard is that, we should be high on Zach.
All right. And the last thing I wanted to ask you about was something that you've talked about before, but which I just feels like it's probably a good thing to remind people about as another season gets kind of close. the days of punting and playing good defense and field position and winning trestle ball games to win a national championship, like that's gone. Like you are not going to overtime against Miami tied at 17. Like that is not happening in national championship games anymore. Let people know, what does a team need to do to win in the college football playoff now? And what does that mean for this year's Ohio State team?
Yeah, it's pretty clear. We've got 7 years now of data to go by. 21 playoff games so far, 14 semifinals, 7 championship games. In the championship games, there's only been one trestle ball game, and that was the Georgia-Alabama game when it was Jake Fromm and Tua going at it, 2 freshman quarterbacks kind of finding their way. That's the outlier. Every other championship game, the winning team is scoring 40 points. So that's your target goal. You got to get 40 to win. Semifinal game, you've got to be in that 30 to 30. It's been proven out. You can go back and look at all the scores of the semifinal winners. You got to get 30 to 35 in the semifinal game. You got to up that in the championship game. You've got to get 40 in the next one. And that's what it's taken for Alabama, Clemson. And if you remember the very first playoff, the Ohio State team beat Alabama, beat Oregon, scored 42 in each game. So that's your target, 30 to 35 in the semifinal, 35 to 40 in the championship game. If you can't do that, you're probably not going to get the shiny trophy.
Yeah, I am team don't punt, stop punting, stop doing that, stop playing field position. And, I think I had someone on from Championships and Analytics a couple months ago sort of explaining that the math says, like, you need to be going for it more than you would otherwise.
Yeah, especially on your side of when you're on their side of the field, forget punt, forget field position.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have the Urban Meyer plan to win. That was something that they talked about earlier this week as well. It's like, sort of like I get it, but also I'm not sure that's necessarily true anymore. So don't worry, you'll get to see me screaming about that on Twitter during games all season long. You have that to look forward to, which is free entertainment at twitter.com. The much better entertainment, though, costs a little bit of money, but it's much more intelligent. The conversation is much more intelligent than it is on Twitter, and that is at buckeyescoop.com. Our Ask the Insiders board has incredible information. Bill, as I said, that was three pieces of Bill's one of Bill's posts this week. He had 7 altogether, so you didn't even get half of it there. Tons of great information, tons of great insight. Nevada's posting practice updates literally every single day from inside practice. We go see practice, and then I come home and I open my computer to find out what actually happened after they kicked us all out. And it's like, oh, there it is. It's all there. And but by golly, 2 days later, when we're talking to players and coaches and we start asking them about stuff, it's like, yep, all the information checks out. How about that? He's done it again. It's incredible. And the only place to find that, Yeah,
I actually had a parent of a current Ohio State player tell me that he looks forward to reading Nevada's practice reports because he gets more from Nevada than he gets from his own son. So, yeah, that's a good endorsement you can have.
Yep. Yeah. That's If you are an Ohio State football parent, or you want to know as much as Ohio State football families do, and I feel like Ohio State football fans generally do want to know more and more and more about their team, best place to do that is buckeyescoop.com. Sign up to become a member today. You get access to our Ask the Insiders board, all sorts of great live events we got coming up. We've got our film debut, the Fight for Football, Saving the 2020 Season. That film premieres on Monday, August 30th, and the world premiere is at Lenox in Columbus. And the only way to get there is if you're a Buckeye Scoop member. So sign up today, get access to that. A whole bunch of other great live events coming up later on in the fall. But you have to be a Buckeye Scoop member for all of those as well. And also make sure you check out all of our great podcasts. Bill does the Vegas Knows podcast with Mark Givler. He also does the Gives in the Bank podcast with Mark Givler. Those are both fantastic listens. You can find those and all of our other great podcasts on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. Just search Buckeye Scoop. You'll find that. You can subscribe right there. Leave us a 5-star rating or review as well, which does help folks find those shows. And finally, if you're watching on YouTube, at the end of this video, there's going to be a little thing that pops up at the end of the video with another suggested video you can watch. And also a little white circle with a Buckeye Scoop logo on the right-hand side. Just click on that. That'll subscribe you to our channel so you never miss any kind of new live, we'll stream live interviews later today with Ohio State running backs and specialists. We're going to have all sorts of videos from inside practice. We're supposed to be able to watch practice again today. So that'll be our last chance to see the team live before the Minnesota game. So you'll be able to check that all out at youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop. And by subscribing, you'll get notified as soon as we post those videos, and you won't have to wait. You won't have to keep checking back. It'll just come right to your phone. You'll get notified and you can start watching right then. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.